All right, go ahead, Haqq. Tell me the story.
Yeah, first my dad was, and they met my mom, and taught her Islam. She was a Christian and taught her Islam. Then later on, they had us, and we grew up in Islam. You know, I have my brothers, my sisters and stuff, and here I am, you know, studying it and, you know, doing my salats and doing stuff I got to do to please Allah.
Okay, so like tell me about some of the challenges, if you could explain your situation, the path that you took, like necessarily growing up in Islam, knowing about it, and what would you say to like younger Muslims who are doing the same thing and had some of the same challenges that you have had, to kind of steer them away from like the experiences that you've had, like being locked up and, you know, so forth and so on. What would you have done? What would you have done, and how would your relationship, maybe like say with your parents or with the law or with the masjid or with, how would you have done that better?
First of all, I would listen to my parents more. And follow what they said, because you know my parents had already told me about Islam and stuff like that, but I wasn't really taking heed to it. I wasn't really taking heed to it, you know. Then I winded up going to YA. So then when I was down there on YA and stuff, I had met with a Muslim brother chaplain named Saeed, and he was telling me about it and stuff like that more, and I got more deep into it. I knew Islam, but I wasn't putting all the principles and stuff and all the stuff like into play, into action and stuff, until I was like got out in jail. Then I start really doing it, start really being fasting during Ramadan, doing my salats, doing a little extra salats, and that's what, like, the most important, like, people that got Muslim parents, I advise them, like, you know what I mean, listen to their parents. I remember reading Hadith, like especially my mom, like reading Hadith, like your mom has like the best advice for you, you know what I mean? And that's what I think I should have did that, you know what I mean, just listen more to my parents and stuff like that.
So what do you think, what do you think is the future, per se, for Islam in America, and what is it that you've seen as of late, like within the walls of the prisons, how the people are coming to Islam, and what do you think that has, or what type of bearing will that have for Islam in the future in this here country?
Well, I know up in here in this place, a lot of people be real interested. A lot of people real interested in it, and that's what by seeing it's like something different to them. You know, they see us washing up, making salat, and stuff like that. They get curious. They get curious about it, and they want to know, like, what is that? What is that y'all doing? What is that y'all studying and stuff like that? And by my experience, that's what a lot of people come to me asking me about Islam. And I usually give them a Quran, and it's this one person in particular. You know, I gave him a Quran, and I see him when I go to school with it all the time, just like on it. You know what I mean? It's just. But I feel that's gonna be a good future in America, but with Islam, I feel it's growing a lot. I think we just gotta stay on our deen, and be a good example for it. Show people go by our action.
Okay. So just tell me, like, what it is that Islam has to offer to a person from the hood, from the turf. How is it that Islam can change his life?
Oh, it could teach you that there's better ways, you know what I mean? That it teach you that this, not to be so dependent upon this world, you know what I mean? Instead of trying to keep up with, you know what I mean, people that's in the fancy cars or stuff like that, that, you know what I mean, that if something's gonna come to you, something good's gonna reach you, it's gonna reach you, you know what I mean? Something bad's gonna happen to you, it's gonna happen to you, you know what I mean? That's what kind of teaches me, you know, not to be all so concerned about this worldly life and stuff like that, you know what I mean? That, you know, it ain't necessarily all this little glamorous stuff in this world ain't necessarily always so good for you, you know what I mean? You shouldn't stress yourself about it. A person growing up to the hood, that's, you know what I mean, that want the 22s, you know what I mean, the big rims and stuff like that, that if it's written in it, it's written in for you, you know what I mean, you'll have it, you know what I mean, but you ain't have to do illegal things, you know what I mean, to get them type of things.
Okay, so if you don't mind telling us, like, we know you're here now, unfortunately, like on a violation, but what was the original thing that brought you here to the institution?
My original thing that brought me into the institution was a gun charge and a robbery.
Okay. Like, without divulging too much of the story, how was it that, you know, having parents that was trying to tell you about Islam, how was it that you got caught up in a robbery type situation?
Because I wasn't listening to them at all. The stuff, the Islamic knowledge they was giving me, I wasn't taking heed to it. I knew it, but I wasn't taking heed to it. So I was still in the world, you know what I mean? I wanted.
So now, who was you, like, you know, you got involved, and we know, of course, we don't want any specifics of the people, but what are some of the ways that some of the signs for some parents, some of the signs that they could look at in their children to tell them, you know, some of the Muslim parents that you know, young Abdullah is out there in the streets and he's doing this and he's doing that. What would you tell them to look for?
I would tell them to look for, you know what I mean, the extra little money, the new shoes, you know what I mean, stuff like that they ain't bothering, staying out later, staying out times of night where it's past their curfew, around their friends, you know, certain ungodly like friends, but most of what for me I know the sign was I was staying out later than what I supposed to.
So do you encourage the Muslim parents to allow their children to play with, or not to play with, but to associate with non-Muslim kids?
I don't really advise it. I don't think I advise that. Like, that can be a bad influence on them. You know what I mean? That can be a bad influence on them. If the person ain't strong into it, you know what I mean, and reach that stage, I think it can be a bad influence on a person that's growing up.
Okay.